were pretty much a disaster by week 6. Caleb Williams' rookie year was rough as a result. He sat with Esquire magazine and said, quote, he was so beat up mentally, physically, and spiritually that there were times he would go home and drop a few tears. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really frustrating. And I think the greatest gift any young quarterback can get is their guru. And I think Jaden Daniels got it with Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury, we reported it first on this show, pounded the table 2 months out, said, draft this kid. I know this style. I think Ben Johnson is going to save Caleb's career. And that sounds dramatic to say save his career. But if you go back to last year, the O-line got worse. The running game dried up. His inconsistency was magnified week to week. I think if Eberflus wouldn't have been let go or they picked the wrong coach, a defensive coach, you were looking at a wasted career. I think he's going to be really special, and I think it's like anybody in any job. I don't care if you're a young lawyer, a young quarterback, or, a city council member. Having a mentor or a guiding light. Yeah. Chicago's not a city that gets offense right.
And certainly not quarterbacks. I'll tell you, you mentioned Ben Johnson. He will take Caleb to the next level and elevate him and maximize him in a way that Waldron never would have. Eberflus certainly never would have. The issue that Chicago has had, it wasn't just the coaching. It was the offensive line last year. They couldn't quite figure out how to get Caleb consistent. He lost 10 games last year. That's more than he lost at OU and SC combined.
Right.
This is a guy who's very young, very talented, and has been, for the first year of his NFL career, without a real plan. You bring in Ben Johnson, who got Jared Goff and turned him into one of the, I would say, best 6 or 7 quarterbacks in football.
Right.
He's going to take Caleb Williams to the next level. My question would be, does it happen right away? How long does it take, considering that they do have some pretty good weapons?
I don't think it.
Okay. There's so much to unpack here. Oh man. This offseason has been a doozy. And that make no mistake about it, Ben Johnson has way more work to do with Caleb Williams than he had to do with Jared Goff, because Jared Goff can do less than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has more tools, specifically because of his mobility. So that's harder now to coach, because you have to figure out, how do I put this all together? Jared Goff is very much more of a prototypical statue-esque quarterback, which in a lot of ways is going to be a lot more straightforward coaching. Not to mention, he came from Sean McVay, who Sean McVay was the one who saved, Jared Goff's career. It wasn't Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson improved, Jared Goff, and they had a ton of success. But it's just different. It's different coaching trajectory. And I really think the best gift, and I said this before Caleb ever took a snap, was that he needs to be humbled. That's the best gift. He needs to look in the mirror and doubt himself and be like, do I belong here? What am I doing? Why can't I get this to work? He needs to fail, and he needs to fail spectacularly. That's what happens. That's what happens to all the great players. They need to feel like they need to know to their core that they're not invincible, that they're not actually unstoppable, because that's when you can truly, fully learn and grow and evolve. And it's finally when you truly, Michael Jordan had to keep losing to finally look to Phil Jackson and be like, how do I finally win? And they had to be like, listen, man, you can put up amazing numbers, you can ball out, or you can win rings. Even Patrick Mahomes balling out, and Andy Reid's like, bro, I know you want to do all this amazing stuff, and it's great, but you know what? It's not always conducive to winning football games, right? We're going to have to take a step back at certain times. In certain games, when the score is 17-10, might not be the time for you to kind of do your magic. Let's just be smart. Throw the ball away. Take the 3-yard pass. Let's just be smart. Let's be strategic. This is a defensive-led game right now. Our defense is rolling. let's just keep it that way. Let's not do anything kind of crazy. And like you need to learn those lessons. And so on one side, I love that Caleb Williams, says this, and he admits this because he's saying what I've been saying. He was beat up mentally, physically, spiritually. I dropped a few tears. Every single football player under the sun has cried, so I love it. But also and I'm glad we get to hear these types of, this type of content, I guess, or these types of interviews, podcasts, magazine articles, whatever. Like I am happy that we live in a world right now where we have access to this type of stuff, because it is very interesting to me, and it's different than from like the 80s and 90s or whatever, because you're never going to hear that. You think Brett Favre's going to like say that in like a 1994 interview with like, I don't even know, People magazine, like who even knows, but like Sports Illustrated, like probably not, and it's probably not going to be reported on ESPN, or FS1 didn't exist and stuff. So I do like this, even though I think a lot of people are gonna make fun of Caleb for being like, I dropped a few tears, or I was beat up spiritually, and people are gonna just use that against him and be like, oh, see, you're weak, you're this or that. And I don't think so, because I think it shows a tremendous amount of strength to admit that as well. But also, a part of me does wish that, and I get why he's still kind of doing these interviews and doing all this, because it is part of football. And to a degree, for all, there's also a lot of collaboration with the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears might be like, you have an interview with Esquire, like you're doing it. Like this is the way this works. But if this was more set up around Caleb's individual camp, because it is two camps. You're going to have Caleb, the business of Caleb Williams, and the business of Caleb Williams being an employee of the NFL and the Chicago Bears. And again, make no mistake about it, a lot of times the NFL and the Bears franchise are going to be like, you're doing this, you have this interview, you're going to go on this show, you're going to be, you're going to go on Good Morning America or whatever. And sometimes it's definitely now individually, like, oh my God, the Cleveland Browns didn't say, hey, Baker, you're going to go do those insurance commercials or whatever, right? Like, no, like his camp decided that. And so if this was his own camp doing like an Esquire interview, I do think Caleb Williams right now in this point of time, it's just like, this is where like less is more. And it's just kind of like, you don't have to say anything. Don't do any interviews. Step away from the celebrity aspect of being a quarterback, of being a young, wealthy, up and coming athlete, an NFL athlete. Just step away. You don't got to do any interviews. You don't got to explain yourself to anyone. You don't have to explain and discuss what happened, last season. Doesn't matter. This is all brand new. You're just focused on this season with Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears in 2025, not 2024. You're not here to explain to anyone what went wrong last year, or what was confusing you last year, and why things are going to be different this year. You don't got to do any of that. You're a quarterback. You're an employee of the Chicago Bears. You're just this is where I would just be like, I'm just focused on today. Anytime you get asked about the past, you just be like, I'm just focused on today, man. I understand last year, I've already said all I could on last year. Not going to say that, there's nothing else to be said. Ben Johnson's the head coach right now. I'm really excited. From my viewpoint, I'm looking at it like my career starts today. That's the way how I always am. Even if I won 4 Super Bowls in a row on that fifth year, doesn't matter. Whatever happened to those last 4 years, doesn't matter. My career starts today. I'm just focused on today because, Patrick Mahomes just lost his Super Bowl. Do you think he's really thinking about the time that he won his Super Bowl in 2019? Nope. He's just focused on 2025. How do I win a Super Bowl in 2025? He's not thinking about how he won in 22 and 23. It's just today. My mentality is just focusing on today. No more, no more questions about the past. No more about this, that. We don't got to do deep dives. We don't got to talk about, that I was beat up physically, mentally, spiritually, this or that. It's just like moving on. So again, on one side, I'm happy that we get this information because I like to consume it. I like to talk about it, discuss it, dissect it, philosophize it, if that, not technically really the appropriate word, but like at the same time, if I'm looking at it where if I'm like running the Chicago Bears or I'm like, Caleb's, confidant, I'd be like, bro, no more. You explain yourself to no one. Like it makes me think of like Lord of the Rings, where they're like, you bow for no one, or whatever it is. You take a knee for no one, like whatever it is. And it's just like that's the way I look at it. It's just like, no, come on. That doesn't matter. That last season was such a mess, and people are going to say that you're a bust or that the O-line was bad. It was the coaching. It was this, that. It doesn't matter. It's so far in the past. It may as well have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. May have well just been a dream. None of it matters right now. Just keep on keeping on. And so like I wouldn't be doing any of these extra interviews and this and that because it doesn't matter. Just leave it all in the past. Leave it all in the past. Just be focused on what you're doing right now. And honestly, you know, very, very quick story to sum this all up. Like, I was in a couple tournaments. Like I was in a couple things like these, like for like the Junior Olympics essentially. And you know, the one year I played amazing. It was awesome. I balled out. And I was, you know, I was being interviewed. I was on the news, like all this type of stuff. I had a bunch of like, you know, very big moments within multiple games, in like the semifinals, championship, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, that obviously felt great. And then the following year, I did not play as well. I did not have a, you know, a great run at it. And yet they still wanted to interview me. They still wanted to talk to me. And I just kept being like, why I'm not playing well, essentially like leave me alone. And I would point to other players on my team and be like, he's playing way better than me. Go interview him. Go talk to him. And like, that's almost kind of the mentality that I would want Caleb to have, to just be like, things did not go well last year. I did not play how I wanted to play. I did not have the success that I wanted to have. I'm not here to do an interview. Like I'm not a celebrity right now. I'm not on top of the world right now. I was last year before I even took a snap. I'm not that right now. Are you interviewing, you know, Baker Mayfield right now? Are you interviewing Bo Nix right now? Are you interviewing any of these other people? Like, I don't know. Are you? You know, like go talk to them. Go focus on someone else. I'm just focusing on me right now. I'm taking a step back from all this other stuff. That would be my, you know, what I would be trying to get through to Caleb. But like I said, he might not have a choice. And some of this stuff, it might be like genuinely like the Chicago Bears are like, hey, like you did, this is what you're doing, because it is still all brand building and you know, advertising and, you know, still just building the league up as a whole. So, but you know, don't have all that information. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb Williams? Kind of still talking about his rookie year, the idea that Ben Johnson is going to save him. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.